The NSE all share coming under pressure. We're down around 0.5%. What drove markets today, given the fact that we have seen a bit of a bullish run over the last few trading sessions, so perhaps a bit of money taken off the table?
Well, I think so. I think it's a bit of profit taking coming into play there. This has been the trend over the past couple of weeks, actually. We see brief rallies followed by a bit of profit taking. And I think the market has been news driven over that period. And we are really playing broader macroeconomic themes and also socio-political events. And I think the last catalyst for the last rally was the central bank governor's comments about the currency. We saw right after that the market picking up. And I think we will probably run out of that storyline for now, and profit taking settling.
Well, Chibuzo, just touching on the likes of Dangote cement. Of course, it began trading today at 135 naira a share. A lot of concern about the valuation of the company and whether it is fair. We saw more shares coming onto the market than initially expected. 196 million units of the stock compared to the 100 million that was initially advertised. Tell me about how trade resumed for this stock in today's session.
Well, the activity we saw in the market today basically confirmed facts that we already had expected, in the sense that there was a lot of demand for the stock, and the supply wasn't really there in terms of the volume of interest versus the amount of shares Dangote was willing to release. So yes, there's really not much surprise in the fact that there was more uptake for the stock than initially anticipated or initially offered. But the real question really is what's the value? Are the people taking it up now really? Do they see value at that price, or is this speculative activity? I think we're going to require the stock to trade for a while before we can actually see what really the drivers are for the interest in that stock.
Well, Chibuzo, what do you think it's going to do to the overall sentiment for the bourse? Many are very hopeful that it's going to assist the overall NSE all share to post some nice gains as we head towards the end of the year. Do you think it's going to have a significant impact, or do you think the volatility that we have seen in the NSE all share is going to start filtering through in the likes of Dangote cement?
Well, I think it's hard to say, but I really don't see Dangote cement on its own really having much of an impact across board for the index. As I said, the themes right now are macroeconomic, socio-political. Dangote is new. It's new on the exchange. It hasn't had much time to really, or investors haven't had much time to assimilate what their results are going to be like. Yes, it's going to be the biggest stock on the exchange right now, but the float is really at this point very minimal. The demand for the quantum of shares available could have a technical impact on the market overall, because of course it has such a high capitalization and it's trading on such a narrow there's such a narrow number. There's such a few stocks available, so of course there's that technical factor in there. But I don't think it's really going to determine how the markets move from here going forward. I think the markets really have bigger themes to play upon.
Will you be buying Dangote cement if given the opportunity?
Well, I don't see the value in it at that price. Yes, it has a good story, but really there's a price to every story. You have to, no matter how good, no matter how favorable the outlook is, there has to be a price on it. And we just don't agree. We don't see value at the current price. And perhaps if in future subsequent events or perhaps the price comes to levels that we're comfortable with, yes, we will. But at this price is no.
Taking a look at the spate of results and numbers that we've seen in today's session. In fact, so many companies out with some interesting numbers. Let's start off with Finbank, of course, one of those companies that were rescued during the financial crisis that occurred in Nigeria. Third quarter results are showing a pre-tax profit of 3.79 billion naira. Quite a bit of interest coming through for some of the rescued banks. It seems investors are finding a bit of value in them, and a nice turnaround for this company.
Well, yes. That has been particularly true for Oceanic Bank, not so much for the rest. I mean, there was, when Oceanic Bank became, when investors started showing a lot of interest in Oceanic Bank, there was a spillover onto the other rescued banks, and it continued for a while. But really, I think amongst all of them, Oceanic really is the only one that's maintained that momentum. For the rest, there's really no story behind them yet. They've been trading off Oceanic's fortunes. Oceanic, I mean, there's still a lot of demand for it because the path to resolution is sort of clear, not the same for the rest of the banks. And until that begins to happen, we probably won't see sustained interest in them. That said, the few results we've seen so far haven't been decisive one way or the other. For Unity Bank, for instance, it was positive broadly. Well, that was expected because the bank had really come to their own resolution of their own problems. For the rest, there's just no clear path, and I think that kind of situation doesn't bode well for sustainability in interests in terms of how investors view the stocks and how interested they will be going forward in taking positions in them. So yes, I don't think for now. But next week, we're expecting AMCON news. Next week, we're expecting some of the deals the central bank governor stated a couple of weeks ago that in 2-3 weeks, we'll be seeing some of those deals coming through and announcements from the companies and their boards. So, well, it depends on what they tell us. If they have a good story to tell us, then yes, interest will return to that segment.